Hey guys, I've tried twice now to film this, only to realize that not only was my mic off, I believe it's dead. So, let's try this again. Junk journals. I've been wanting to make a junk journal for a while now, and I figured I'd take you guys along with me as I make it, make one from scratch, because the last junk journal video that I made was the kind where it was a journal that I had bought, and I would just fill the pages, which is a perfectly valid way of doing a junk journal. It's not what I've been doing. The kind that you saw in that video isn't quite junk journaling because I'm printing the images out, but that's besides the point. I think junk journaling is one of the most accessible crafts out there because it doesn't require you to buy any kind of special tools or equipment. You can literally use anything, and as the name suggests, you can use junk. You can use a spiral bound notebook, a composition book, the black and white ones. You can literally use anything you want. You don't even need any fancy glues. You can use tape. You can use staples. It does not matter what you use. It's just a way of creatively expressing yourself that I think a lot of people can do. I want to talk about that a little bit more, but if you would like to skip ahead to the construction of the journal, you can skip to this timestamp here, and I will see you there. Or you can stick around and listen to what I have to say. Junk journals, like I said, you can use literally anything. You can use the stuff that you normally throw away, packaging, mail, anything that is considered junk is a perfectly valid option for a junk journal. But if you would like to start to get into the more advanced kinds where you are building them from scratch, and doing all kinds of stuff, I have a couple of YouTube channels that you can look into. These are the ones that I follow. There's one called Sea Lemon. She has a lot of great videos on how to do the binding, so sewing the pages together, as well as doing covers and all that kind of stuff. She also does more traditionally junk journal type stuff. Her aesthetic is definitely more of a bright and colorful one, which is super fun. The other YouTuber is Nick the Booksmith. She also does a lot of bookbinding tutorials, the more traditional way of binding books and stuff like that, but she also does junk journals the way that I tend to do it. And her aesthetic is more of the vintage, antique kind of look that I really like. I really like that aesthetic. So those are two channels that I suggest you look into if you want to look up on how to do this kind of stuff. There are obviously lots more out there. Those are just the two that I follow. And you will also find YouTube pages for people who do the kind of junk journaling that my other video is about, where it's the kind where you buy a journal and then you do really elaborate spreads. Some tools that you may want to consider buying. For glue, a really good glue stick is this brand. It's the Elmer's 2 times stronger glue stick. Goes on purple, dries clear. I really love this glue. I usually use it for my other junk journal, but I thought I'd pull it out, see if I want to use it for anything in this one. I actually ran out of it once and had to switch back to the other kind of glue stick, the more basic Elmer's glue stick, and it was so much worse, in my opinion. So for a glue stick, this is a really good brand. I also know that Uhu is a really good brand of glue. I believe they have a glue stick. I actually was looking for that when I found this one. But Don't quote me on that. For liquid glues, Elmer's glue is always a good brand to use. It is a water-based glue, so you want to keep that in mind since you are going to be primarily using paper. So it tends to warp and wrinkle paper if you put too much in one spot. If you just kind of glob it on there, you will see it warp and wrinkle and eventually actually make the paper so weak it will tear right through it. So you definitely want to use thin layers of this. You can obviously just use the tip to spread it around. That's totally valid. But if you want to have something that makes it really nice and even, you can use something like this. This is just a foam paintbrush. I've actually never used it for glue because I thought I lost it. But I found them recently looking for the grommets that are still missing. And so you can just use that to spread the glue nice and thin on your paper. Another brand of glue that I really like is this. It is Fabri-Tac. It is a acetone-based glue. Unlike the Elmer's glue, where it's much thinner and can pour more easily, Fabri-Tac is a lot globbier and a lot stickier. It actually acts similarly to hot glue, where it will string, and you'll get those really spiderwebby type strings of glue. It's not as easy to spread around with a tool, in my opinion. I've never tried a tool, but it is really strong. As the name suggests, you can also use it on fabric because it's also a flexible glue. When it dries, it's very flexible. I had one leak once and I had a big glob, and it was like actually kind of squishy, which I thought was interesting. It's a bit smelly, but it dissipates pretty quickly. So it's definitely good for things where you feel like it's gonna need that flexibility. And it's been recommended by Nick the Booksmith, so I trust her. And I've been using this primarily on my junk journals for years. For cutting materials, obviously you want a good pair of scissors. I really like Westcott Titanium. I have 2 pairs of these. These are really good paper scissors. And remember, paper scissors, not fabric scissors. You do not want to use fabric on paper or paper on fabric. I believe the blades are cut differently in some way or sharpened differently to make them work better for their medium. Another cutting implement is a craft knife. This is Scotch brand. X-Acto blades. X-Acto knife is another brand. I really like this kind because you can actually break off the tip once it starts to get dull, and have a nice fresh blade. I've had this one for a few years, and as you can see, I still have plenty of blade left. When I first bought it, it was all the way up to the end here, just under this edge. And I still have a little more than half of the blade left. If you were going to use a craft knife of any kind, you need to invest in a cutting mat. Cutting mats can get expensive very quickly, so you probably want to stick to a smaller size. This is a 12 by 18 mat. As you can see, it's been well used. I've got inks as well as pen all over this mat. But yes, you definitely want a mat like this because it's considered self-healing. So you can cut it and it doesn't damage it at all. But you don't need this. You don't need a craft knife and you don't need a cutting mat. The last cutting tool is one of these. It's a paper cutter, obviously, that you run a blade down. You can actually see it here. Comes with 2 in case one gets dull. And this little triangle, it's sharp on both sides. I think mine's a little cheap because it doesn't quite cut straight in my opinion. There are a little bit more expensive ones that are also slightly bigger. But this one comes with an arm that extends if you need more width. more so for cutting long strips of paper, so you don't have to try and cut a straight line with your scissors. But again, not needed. Last tool that I find useful, but again is not needed, is a bone folder. Now, a bone folder, as the name suggests, used to be made with bone, whalebone, I believe, but they are now made out of plastic. Got a bit of flex, but it's more so for helping with creasing things, for spreading things evenly. I've used it to, if I'm like gluing a large piece of paper down, I use it to help kind of make sure the paper is nice and flat and the glue is even and sticking to the bottom well. But yeah, it's good, but you don't need it. You can absolutely use like a ruler or something like that. I've got a couple of different sized rulers here, different kinds. Again, they aren't all needed. This is my old one that I've been using for years. This section here is actually a magnified section between these blue lines, and it comes, like most rulers, have both inches and centimeters on them. I wanted a metal ruler, so I got one, and then I also wanted a ruler that was completely clear and had the grid. I'm probably use this more for fabric cutting. I actually don't use it that often anyway, but I pulled it out just in case. Other tools that you can have but don't need: ink, stamps, scrapbook paper. All of that is optional. And I do have all of that. I don't know if I'll be using stamps, but I do have ink. I also have a number of vintage papers, like book pages and stuff like that. You don't even have to special buy anything. You could go to the thrift store and buy an old book that you can tell nobody is going to buy. But yeah, those are some of the tools that you can invest in if you want, but you don't need any of them. So the journal that I want to make, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I sometimes have like an idea and like I gotta make that, but sometimes I just have no idea what I want to make, and that's what happened this time. As you may know, I've been taking a break from sewing, and the last few videos have been non-sewing crafts. I had 3 in mind, and this is the 3rd video. The first one was the wreath, and I did that. The tapestry, and I did that. And then a junk journal. And I just could not decide what I wanted to do. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to do... I had an idea years ago of doing some kind of monthly thing with manila folders, and that never happened. Did I want to do a large journal using an old book cover? I don't know if I wanted to do that. I've done that before. And then the other day, I was cleaning up an area of my craft room. The space under and behind my ironing board has been a mess for years. It kind of just became a place where I threw everything. So I was cleaning it up, and I found this. These are the little mini cereal boxes that you can get in those packs. I had saved a couple with the intention of making little journals. And, you know, the tutorial on Tumblr that I saw years ago was with using the little cereal boxes. So I decided I'm going to make a journal with one of these being the cover. And it's honestly very relevant. It's a junk journal, and this is junk. This would have gone in recycling probably over a year ago when I bought these. So I thought, let's do that. So I'm gonna try and not talk much. I know I can talk a lot, and then it makes my videos very long, but I'm going to take you along with me as I make a journal. I may stop and give you some tips here and there, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to show you what I plan on doing with this. So yeah, let's get started. When I'm picking out scrapbook paper to use, it's more so for vibes than any like theme in mind, since like I said, I like the vintage look, and that's absolutely what I'm doing right now. I want to pick out a paper that I really like for the cover, because that's not aesthetic. I've got so many of these, I don't even know what I want. I don't know what I want. This is another tool that I forgot about. It's called book tape. So it's basically like duct tape, but instead of that kind of shiny outside, it's got this kind of like almost paper-like texture on the outside. I bought it because Nick the Booksmith kept talking about it. I like it. It's hard to glue things down. No, it's easy to glue things down on, but I find certain washi tapes that I own do not like sticking to it. But it's supposed to be a like structural inner layer to whatever you're binding. So I don't know if I'll be using that, but this is some cardstock that I had tea stained a few years ago. Do you ever hate losing shit? Like literally, it's the second time I'm looking for something that I've lost, or I don't know where I put it. First it was the grommets. Now there's this book. I don't remember what it's called. I really just had it. And I just lost the page I just had. There's this vintage book. I don't remember what it's called. That is like a nature book. And it's got these beautiful illustrations. And I bought them off Etsy, and it was like from page 12 to page 24 or something like that. Like it was like a handful of pages. I don't know what I did with them. I had one page. Oh, here it is. So this is one page. And I had like a little stack of them. It was basically like a signature. Which a signature, when you're talking about a book, it's like a stack of like 8 or 10 pages. Probably more when it's like a novel and the paper isn't that thick. And a bunch of those together makes the text block, which is what is the entire set of pages for a book. But I had a little signature of pages from this book, and I can't find them. This is the second time I've lost something in this room. This room is not big. It's the smallest room in the house. How do I keep losing stuff? It's just like, how do I keep losing stuff in this room? There's only so many places something can be in. Also, the grommets and that whole thing, that's partially why I cleaned up the area behind my ironing board. I'm almost positive that grommets either fell behind the bin that's over in this corner in a place that I wouldn't expect it to go, or I accidentally threw them away. So I got a bunch of different papers, including some paper bags. I think these are actually going to be for something else that we're not doing today. But I got some small stuff. This is something that was printed out. This is from old music book, old novel. This is from an old dictionary that I had, that I owned, that was obviously would be out of print, but I used the cover, and these were the end pages. So the front of the book and the back of the book. Some paper bags. This is a novel page that was tea stained by somebody else and was used as, I forget what it was used for, but it was in a packaging of something that I bought. But yeah, I thinking, let's get all the little stuff out of the way. And then these pages where it's like a bunch of stuff laid out flat with some kind of background. I have in the past, I cut them out and then I'll use the thing as like ephemera. But so these are the two pages that I was thinking of using. They're the same thing, one in color and one in this kind of sepia tone. But I like the like striping, and I was thinking of having it be like the edges front and back and then the spine, and kind of like cutting it out like that. But I just can't decide which paper I want. So I mean, you will see which paper I use, because you will see me cut it out. If you get the Fabri-Tac on your hands, a really easy way to get it off is acetone, so like nail polish remover, because you can eventually rub it off, but it might leave a little bit of a residue still, and just washing it with soap and water isn't enough. So nail polish remover helps get the Fabri-Tac off your hands.
Of course.
There is the cover. All of this is so that the edges are completely covered, and I'm then going to cut out another piece that's slightly smaller to put on the inside, so the entire thing will be covered in pretty paper.
Curiosity consumes
Okay, day 2. Where we left off yesterday, I got the outside cover all done. I think it looks really good. And then I got I don't remember what this is called. There's a word for it, but the paper that covers the inside of a cover to hide all of the seams and stuff. It's not great, but I'm okay with that. Today, I think we're going to start collecting pages to make up some signatures. I'm thinking with how wide the spine is, we'll probably have maybe 5 signatures in there, maybe like 5 or 6 pages, or I should say 5 or 6 pieces of paper that are all folded in half. So it would be double that of actual flippable pages. Forgot to mention this yesterday. I'm sure you've already realized from the video, I have a new camera set up. I got a top-down camera mount that comes with a ring light. So we've got a lot more light now, which is great. And now I can show off what I'm doing a lot easier instead of the angles that I've had before. But yeah, let's start getting papers together, figuring out how big I want them to be. Obviously, they can't be bigger than the cover, but I need to figure out just how big they are going to be. 1, 2, 4, and 5 beads. So I make each page 4.5 inches. So 4.5 inches wide unfolded. Can't see any of this, I'm sorry. Now I have my signatures. I have 6 of them. I just have to punch holes on the ends here. I have a tool for that. It's called an awl, A-W-L. There it is. It's not sharp, but it's very pointy. It's usually used for like sewing and stuff like that. I don't remember what kind of needle I used to use. I usually used embroidery thread, but this time I wanted to try this stuff. I bought it, I think, first, I don't remember why I bought it. But apparently it's real leather, it's waxed. Probably for bookbinding. Then I never actually did traditional bookbinding. But I figured I'd use this since I have it. I just need to figure out what size eye on a needle I need. I have these. They're size 3, but I think this is going to be good for this because it's so thick. Oh yeah, that passes right through. Yeah, so I'm going to use that needle. I just need to figure out. I like to draw a grid on the inside of the spine to figure out the placement. So how many signatures across, space it out evenly, and then how many holes. I'm going to do 3. That's a pamphlet stitch. Basically, you make a figure 8 through everything. Something like that. Alright, this is my template. Got T marked for the top. And I'm going to grab something to help me with this. This is a text block from a novel that I took the cover off of. And I'm going to open it up and use the inside, like that, to basically nestle my signatures into, like that. Where did I put my template? Put my template inside, always making sure T is on top. Take my awl and just punch holes. That's my first signature done. Oh, not done. The holes are punched in. I'll put that here so I don't get it confused. I'm gonna do that for the rest of them. I don't know if I mentioned it, but there are 5 pages in each signature. I forgot I gotta punch holes in this now. Before I put it together, I want to do some inking to stress this, make it look a little bit struggling. There we go. This part's kind of awkward in my opinion, especially when your papers don't want to line up with themselves, all the holes. I've seen some people use like binder clips and stuff to hold it, but because my papers are all different sizes, it's oh my god. It's gonna be a fight. There we go. Okay. Ah! It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. Alright, I got all the signatures in there. It was pretty difficult. I ended up having to... I couldn't use the really big needle with the waxed cord because the waxed cord doubled up was just too much, plus the thickness of the eye of this needle. So I went down a size, but that was still really difficult. I ended up having to pull out my pliers just to try and get them out because, you know, it's very slippery and to get a grip on it was hard. And I eventually went through and made every hole in the spine and in all the signatures larger with the larger needle. But I think that's enough for today. I'm pretty tired. And tomorrow we will start decorating. Day 3. Going to start decorating. Don't really have any plans. I did a little extra inking along the spine here and where the holes are because it was just very stark white and the paper started ripping a little bit. Probably from how forceful I was being yesterday. But yeah, I'll figure out what I want to decorate it with. I got lots of stickers, washi tapes, little bits and bobs. I'll figure something out.
This game sucks.
I found the rest of those pages I was talking about. They were in this black folder. I still can't remember what it's called. I think it's done. It's nice and chunky, which is how I like it. And I just started gluing stuff down, using paper clips to put stuff in. Yeah, just to kind of make it look like it was used. It is a bit, because it's such a narrow size, it's a bit awkward to get in here. I didn't really think about that when I glued this bag flap down, just because I had all the print on the bottom of the bag and I didn't like it. Yeah, I really liked this. This is those end sheets from the dictionary, and it's kind of like a notepad. Might add more. I have a lot of scraps, as you can see still. Some of them are just too big and would stick out too much. Yeah, I would like to use this. I tend to not use the journals that I make, but I would like to actually try to use it this time. There you have it. That is a little mini junk journal. Thank you so much for watching. If you like crochet, sewing, or any other kinds of crafts, please consider a follow. I upload every Sunday, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.